The air was dry. The sky was orange. Dust covered everything on the dying planet, called their Al-7. Daniel, a human trader, walked through the alien marketplace. He wasn't looking to buy or sell. He had landed here only to refuel his ship and grab some supplies. But something felt strange today. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved around him, their faces tired, their voices low. Hunger and fear filled the air. Merchants begged for customers. Guards shouted. People fought over old scraps. It was clear this planet had lost hope. Daniel stopped near a small stall. An old alien man, thin and shaking, was arguing with two angry debt collectors. "You haven't paid in 3 cycles." One shouted, I have nothing left," the old alien begged. "Please," Daniel didn't like bullies. He stepped forward. "How much does he owe?" Daniel asked. The collectors turned and looked at the human. "Too much for someone like you." Daniel reached into his bag and pulled out a small chip. "This is worth 5 times more than whatever he owes. Take it and leave." They grabbed the chip, sneered at the old alien, and walked away without a word. The old alien looked at Daniel with wide eyes. Why did you help me?" Daniel shrugged. "You looked like you needed it." Tears formed in the alien's eyes. "I have nothing left to give you. No money, no food." "I didn't ask for anything," Daniel said kindly. But the alien wasn't done. He motioned behind the stall. "Then, please, take her." Daniel frowned. "Take who?" The alien pulled back a dirty curtain behind the stall. In the shadows, a small figure sat chained to the wall. She was covered in an old cloak, her face hidden. Thin arms, weak legs. She didn't move or speak. "She is my last possession." The alien whispered. "She came to me years ago. A slave from another system. I kept her safe. I fed her when I could. But now I can no longer care for her." Daniel looked shocked. "You want me to take a slave?" "She's not like others," the alien said. "She never spoke, but she listens, she watches. Sometimes strange things happen when she's near." Daniel stepped closer. "What's her name?" The alien shook his head. "She never said. I called her. Nothing, because she was always silent." Daniel crouched down and looked at her face. Her eyes were hidden behind strands of messy silver hair. Then, slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes glowed softly violet and full of something ancient. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. This was no ordinary slave. Still, she said nothing. "Fine," Daniel said. "I'll take her, but not because I own her. She rides with me as a passenger, nothing more." The old alien bowed his head. "Thank you. You have more heart than most." Daniel unchained the girl gently. She stood on shaky legs, still silent. She didn't look scared, just tired. They walked back to his ship. No one stopped them. No one cared. Inside the ship, Daniel showed her a small cabin. "This is yours," he said. "You can sleep here. You're safe now." She nodded once. Still no words. He brought her food and water. She ate slowly, carefully, like she hadn't eaten in days. Later, as the ship rose from the planet's surface and flew into space, Daniel sat in the pilot's seat. He looked at the girl through the mirror. She sat quietly, staring out the window, her violet eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Daniel spoke to himself. What have I gotten myself into? He didn't know her name. He didn't know her past. But deep down, he felt that this girl, this nothing, was hiding something big, something dangerous, and something royal. The stars outside the ship were quiet, but inside the ship, something was watching. Daniel slept in the pilot's chair. The control lights blinked softly. The hum of the engine filled the silence. A half-empty food packet rested on his chest. His boots were still on. He had fallen asleep without meaning. Behind him, in the dark hallway, the girl moved. Barefoot, silent, like a shadow, she walked without sound. Her silver hair hung loosely over her shoulders. Her cloak was gone now, replaced with a simple oversized shirt Daniel had given her, but her glowing violet eyes had not changed. They watched everything. She stood at the edge of the control room. Not entering, just watching. Daniel stirred in his sleep. He whispered something, a name. Tara. The girl tilted her head. Who was Tara? She turned and walked away, down the hallway. Past the engine room. Past the kitchen. She stopped at a locked door. The door hissed and opened on its own. Daniel had never given her the code. Inside was a storage room filled with old parts, dusty weapons, and something else, a mirror. She walked to the mirror and stared at herself. Slowly, she reached up and touched her face. She didn't recognize the girl looking back. Then she whispered a single word. Saraya. Her real name? No one heard her. No one saw her, but the ship did. Lights blinked faster. Systems flickered. She turned and walked back to her room. The next morning, Daniel woke with a headache. He stretched, yawned, and looked around. How long was I out? He walked toward the kitchen and stopped. A cup of hot tea was waiting for him on the table. He blinked. He didn't make that, and the girl was nowhere in sight. He called out, "Hey, you awake?" No answer. He looked around the ship, checking each room. She wasn't in the engine room, not in the hallway, not even in her bed. Panic rose in his chest. Where did she go? He ran to the cargo bay. She was sitting there, cross-legged, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees, breathing slow, almost like meditating. He didn't want to disturb her, but she opened her eyes before he could speak. You okay? He asked gently. She nodded. I saw you weren't in bed. You scared me. Again, no words. Just a long stare. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Listen, I don't know your story, and I'm not asking. But if you ever want to talk, I'll listen. Silence. He turned to leave. Then she whispered something, very soft, almost too soft to hear. Danger, coming. Daniel froze. He turned around slowly. What did you say? She stood up now. Her glowing eyes were serious. She spoke again, clearer this time. Danger, coming, soon. Daniel's heart pounded. What kind of danger? But she didn't answer. She simply walked past him and sat down again, back to silence. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He checked the ship's scanners. Nothing strange appeared. No signals. No nearby ships. But something about her warning stuck in his mind. She had finally spoken. And the first thing she said was a warning. He stared at the stars outside. Was someone coming? Was she being hunted? And most importantly, who was she really? She may not speak much, but she was always watching, and now Daniel knew he was being watched too. The entire ship shook. Daniel fell out of bed, hitting the floor hard. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across the walls. Smoke rose from the vents. He ran to the control room, barefoot, heart racing. They were under attack. On the screen, a black ship shaped like a knife, flying straight toward them. No markings, no warning. Just silent, deadly power. Shields up. Daniel shouted at the control panel. Too late. Another blast hit the side of his ship, sending sparks flying. He gritted his teeth. Who the hell are these guys? He tried to open a comm channel. This is civilian ship Delta 17. I'm not armed. I'm not your enemy. The enemy ship responded, but not with words. Instead, a message appeared on the screen in glowing red letters. Return the stolen princess. Or die. Daniel stared at princess. He looked over his shoulder. She stood in the doorway, calm as stone. Silver hair falling over one eye. Glowing violet eyes fixed on the screen. You knew, he said quietly. She didn't speak. She just stepped forward and touched the screen. Red letters disappeared. The enemy ship stopped firing. What did you do? Daniel asked. I told them, she said. Her voice was soft, but her words cut deep. That I am awake now, Daniel blinked. You're really a princess? She looked at him. I was born Saraya Valthera, daughter of the royal bloodline of Zinari, but my people betrayed me. She sat down in the co-pilot's chair like she had done it 1,000 times before. They sold me, she continued. Changed my name, hid my powers, kept me quiet, until they thought I was forgotten. Daniel felt like the air had been punched out of him. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She looked at him sad. Would you have still taken me? If you knew what danger followed me. He couldn't answer. She turned back to the screen. The enemy ship still hovered in place, like a shark waiting to strike. They won't leave, she said. They want to take me back, or kill me here. Not happening, Daniel said firmly. You're staying with me. You don't understand, she whispered. They have warships. Assassins, trackers. I'm not just in danger, you are too. Daniel stood. Then let's run. He grabbed the controls. Engines roared. The ship spun hard and blasted away from the enemy, but the black ship followed fast. Silent, relentless. They darted through asteroid fields, through ion storms, through broken planets, but the enemy never stopped chasing. Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead. This ship wasn't made for this kind of flying. Saraya placed her hand on the dashboard. A soft hum pulsed through the ship. Systems glowed. Engines boosted. Daniel's eyes widened. What did you just do? I unlocked something, she said. Your ship is old, but its core is Zinari tech. You didn't know. Daniel laughed in disbelief. My ship is royal tech? How did I even get it? She smiled faintly. Maybe fate wants you near me, Daniel smirked. Or maybe you're just full of surprises. The ship jumped to light speed. The black ship blinked out behind them. Now, they were safe. Daniel leaned back, breathing hard. He looked over at her. She was quiet again, staring out at the stars. I guess I'm not just carrying cargo anymore, he said. No, she replied. You're carrying a war. She was once carried in a golden throne. Now she sat on cold steel in a stranger's ship. Saraya stared at her reflection in the glass. The girl looking back wore a human shirt, too big for her small frame. Her once golden markings were faded. Her long silver hair was tangled. But her eyes, her royal violet eyes, still burned like they remembered who she was. Daniel brought her a warm drink and sat beside her. You said you were a princess, he began carefully. But what happened? How did you end up in chains? Saraya didn't answer right away. But then her voice came calm, quiet, full of old pain. My planet was Zinari. Beautiful, rich, full of secrets. My family ruled it for 10 generations. We lived in a sky palace above the clouds. She smiled for a second, but it faded fast. I was only 10 when the whispers started. The council said my father grew weak. Some said I shouldn't inherit the throne. I was born small, quiet, not like a warrior. Daniel listened closely. One night, the guards came into my room, she continued. They said they were moving me to a safe place. I trusted them. Her fingers curled tightly. They sold me that same night. Daniel's eyes widened. Your own guards? She nodded. Paid by my cousin. He wanted the crown. So he erased me from records, said I was dead, and shipped me off-world in a slave ship with hundreds of others. Daniel clenched his fists. That's sick. I was traded from planet to planet, she said. Each time I was renamed. Property, Unit 47. Silent girl. Some tried to use me, but something inside me always pushed back. Something old. Something Zinari. She looked at him now. That's why they started drugging me, weakening my mind. Keeping me quiet. Daniel swallowed hard. How long has it been? 8 years, she whispered. I have been nothing for 8 long years. There was silence. Then Daniel stood up and said firmly, "You are not nothing now. You're on my ship. No one's taking you again." But Soraya suddenly winced and grabbed her chest. Daniel rushed to her. "Hey, what's wrong?" she gasped. "It's starting again. The poison. I feel it." He helped her lie down. "What poison?" "They gave it to me as a child, slow, hidden in my food. It made me forget who I was. And when I remembered, again, they activated it remotely." Daniel's voice shook. "How do we stop it?" "There's a cure," she whispered, "but it's rare. Illegal. Hidden in black markets. In the dark sectors." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Then we go get it." "No," she said weakly. "It's suicide." "I've done worse," he said. "You're not dying on my ship, princess." He tucked her into the cot and stared out at the stars, anger burning in his eyes. "They locked up a princess," he said to himself, "but now they've got a human to answer to." He turned toward the control panel, fired up the ship's engines, and set a course for the most dangerous black market in the sector. Behind him, Soraya slept, but inside her, something powerful was waking up. The black market didn't have doors. It had shadows. Daniel stepped out of his ship into a place that didn't exist on maps. A floating station built from broken ships and stolen tech, hidden inside a swirling gas cloud. They called it the Maw. No laws, no rules. Only danger. He walked fast. Every corner watched him. Every face looked like it wanted to sell something or kill something. Back on the ship, Soraya lay weak in bed, her skin pale, her hands trembling. The poison was spreading. Her heartbeat was slow. She barely spoke now. Daniel had one goal: find the cure or lose her forever. He pushed through the crowded market. Alien creatures hissed at him. Vendors offered weapons, slaves, illegal tech, even organs. But he ignored them all. Then he saw it. A neon sign above a dark tent. Chemical miracles, all prices, paid in blood or credits. Daniel stepped inside. A thin alien with too many eyes grinned from behind a desk. "Human, rare to see your kind here." "I need something special," Daniel said. "Zenari neural cleanser. Slow-acting royal toxin type." The alien's grin vanished. "Dangerous request. Very rare, very expensive." "I'll pay." The alien leaned closer. "You don't look rich." Daniel placed a data chip on the table. "That's the location of a crashed Terran warship. Lots of salvage. Still untouched." The alien's eyes widened. "You'd trade this?" "For one vial?" Daniel's voice cracked. "For one life." The alien nodded slowly and disappeared into the back. Daniel waited, hand near his blaster. 5 minutes later, the alien returned. Holding a small metal case. Inside was a single vial of glowing blue liquid. "This will burn," the alien said. "But it will save her if she drinks it in the next 6 hours." Daniel grabbed it and ran. Back at the ship, Soraya was barely breathing. Her eyes were only half open. Her voice was a whisper. "Too late." "No," Daniel said. "You're not dying, not here, not now." He held her head gently and brought the vial to her lips. "Drink it." She did. Seconds passed. Then she screamed. Her body arched. Her eyes glowed bright violet. Her skin shimmered with royal marks that had been hidden. Lights on the ship flickered. The engine roared. Panels exploded. Daniel held her tightly. "Stay with me." Then silence. Soraya gasped for air and sat up. She looked around, eyes wild. "It's gone," she said. "The poison?" Daniel asked. She nodded. "I can feel everything now. My mind, my power, my bloodline." Daniel smiled. "Good, because we're not done." She looked at him. "What do you mean?" Daniel sat back. "The guy who sold you out. The cousin. The people hunting you. We can't run forever." Soraya stood slowly, her strength returning with every breath. She clenched her fists. "No more running," she said. Daniel grinned. "Now that's the royal spirit." But outside the ship, a tracker lit up. A red signal blinked on a distant console in the dark command room. The voice of a cold alien captain whispered, "The lost princess is awake, and she is no longer alone." In the darkness of space, a crown was calling her back. Soraya stood at the front window of the ship, her reflection glowing against the stars. No more chains, no more silence. The royal power inside her had awakened, and it burned like fire. Daniel checked the controls. "You're sure about this?" She nodded without turning. "I was born to return. I was born to take back what was stolen." He looked at her, taller now, stronger, standing like a queen. Daniel asked, "And if your enemies are waiting?" She turned her head slowly. "Then they will kneel. Or they will fall." He smiled. "I've got your back." Soraya walked to the console and tapped in coordinates from memory. The screen lit up. Zenari Prime. Her home, once a floating city of light and music. Now under the rule of the cousin who sold her into slavery. She closed her eyes and whispered, "It's time." Hours later, they dropped out of hyperspace. Zenari Prime rose before them like a dark jewel. The palace above the clouds was still there, but the colors had changed. Flags of her family were gone. Black war banners flew in their place. Daniel stared. "They've turned it into a fortress." Soraya's voice was steady. "He fears the people. That's why he hides behind walls." "What's the plan?" Daniel asked. "I sent a signal," she said. "There are still those who remember. Me, who swore to protect me. My old guard. My mother's circle. The Sky Singers." Daniel raised a brow. "Sky Singers?" "They control the weather with their voices," she said calmly. "And they never stopped waiting for me." She pressed her fingers to a glowing panel. A soft hum pulsed across space. Elsewhere, on the surface of the planet, a young soldier in exile looked up and gasped. An old woman dropped her basket and wept. A weather tower flashed violet lights. The princess had returned. In the palace, her cousin stood at the throne, watching the signal flicker in the air. "She lives." He growled. A servant asked, "What should we do?" He smashed a glass and shouted, "We kill her again." Back in orbit, Soraya armed the ship's defense systems. Daniel looked at her. "If you go down there, it won't be quiet." "I'm not here to be quiet anymore," she said. "I'm here to be heard." She paused. "But I have one question." "Yeah?" "If I take back the crown," she said softly, "will you still stay with me?" Daniel blinked. He had traveled worlds, fought pirates, risked death for her. But this question felt bigger than all of that. He stepped closer and placed a hand on her shoulder. "I didn't come this far to leave now." Soraya smiled, a real smile. "Then let's take back our world," she whispered. Together, they stepped into the drop-pod. As it fell towards Zenari Prime, fire streaking around them, the people below began to chant, "Soraya, Soraya, the starborn princess returns." The sky was on fire. Drop pods crashed like meteors into the royal courtyard of Zenari Prime. Smoke rose. Sirens screamed. But above the chaos, a single voice echoed across the palace walls. "The true heir has returned." Soldiers froze. Servants dropped their tools. Guards, who once served the false king, looked toward the clouds in shock. And then the gates burst open. Soraya stepped through, no longer a girl in chains, but a queen in fire. Her silver hair blew in the wind. The glowing marks of her royal blood pulsed down her arms. The violet light in her eyes burned like a storm ready to break. Daniel walked beside her, armed but calm. He wasn't royalty, but he had become her shield, her blade, and her only friend in the galaxy. They entered the throne hall together. At the end of the hall stood the traitor, her cousin, wearing stolen robes and holding a royal blade that was never his. "You survived," he said coldly. Soraya stopped a few steps away. You lied, you betrayed the crown, you sold your own blood. And you, he spat, brought a human into our halls. A filthy outsider. Daniel raised his blaster. I'm more royal than you. At least I don't sell children. The cousin laughed and ordered his guards to attack, but something unexpected happened. Half the guards dropped their weapons and knelt. We remember her. One whispered, she is our true light. The rest hesitated. Only a few remained loyal to the false king, and they charged. Daniel fought beside Soraya. The hall echoed with blasts and blades. But Soraya didn't hesitate. She moved like lightning, her power awakened fully now. Her voice sang in Zenari tongue, calling down a wind from the sky tower. The traitor tried to run. She stopped him with one word, kneel. He froze, fell to his knees. She walked to him and said, you stole my throne. But you never earned it. The people cheered as guards dragged him away. The throne stood empty. Soraya walked toward it. Daniel stayed behind. Silent. She reached the throne, but did not sit. Instead, she turned to face her people. You waited for me, she said. You believed I was gone. But I am here now, not to rule as they did, but to rebuild what they broke. Cheers erupted. The palace filled with light. Then Soraya looked at Daniel. She walked to him, eyes soft. The storm was over, but something more important remained. I made a promise, she said, to take back my world. He nodded. You did. She took his hand. But now I must ask something else, she whispered. If I wear this crown, will you stay, Daniel? Not as my bodyguard, not as my rescuer, but as my heart. Daniel smiled gently. I came to trade supplies. I found a princess, but I stayed. Because I found something real. He squeezed her hand. I'll stay. The people of Zenari watched in silence as their starborn princess finally sat on the throne, with a human by her side. From slave to queen, from nothing to everything, and the stars watched in silence. As a new story began.